Government would have paid the teachers, given subsidies to the schools. Some hardworking teachers would have maybe given free study classes and all that. Now, if at the culmination of all the interventions of these stakeholders, you cannot now determine the extent to which the educational objectives have been achieved, then it means it is the whole sector that is undermined. And I think what this does is to underscore the extent to which examination malpractice is the business of everybody, all stakeholders. Because if you are a hardworking teacher who, worked hard to prepare your candidates, I think you would be very frustrated if, at the end of, all the work you did, your efforts end up in vain. Likewise for the Ministry of Education, likewise for the school authorities themselves. So I think what this does is to let us all know that examination malpractice is the business of everybody, and that we should all do our bit to make sure that we weed it out of the education system.
Thank you. Over, Mr. Job, you want to add something to what he has said on how education malpractice hampers the resourcefulness and creativity of people in a nation?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Ba. Once again, I think I cannot agree more with Pa. But before coming into what Pa said, let me just throw light a little on what Mr. Sise was talking about regarding the levies that are, sanctions levied against people who are found wanting in this exercise. The mass cheating he talked about, derecognizing a school, that itself is demotivating. That itself is demoralizing. That itself is embarrassing. If I am a principal and I am written to inform that your school is de-recognized, that implies children in that school, even if they are going to take the exam, my management cannot manage that exams. WIC has to bring in independent people to manage the exams, and the school will foot the bill. That itself is very demoralizing. And as a result, we all should work to make sure that it doesn't happen. The impersonation he talked about, if I am taken to the police and GRTS brought in and they say, this is Mr. Job who went to write the exam for his son or brother, that itself is something that is very, very foreign to our culture, but it's also embarrassing. So therefore, we should make sure that these kind of things are really weed out of our system. Now, coming on to the issue of, the implications. He talked about the resources, the efforts. But, what is more frustrating as a parent? After putting all the resources I have for my child, at the end of the day, his or her results are cancelled, or, he doesn't have results at all. If it is only one subject itself, on your statement of result is written there, cancel. If I'm looking for a job, I come to GRTS, they would look at me, what have you done for this to be cancelled? Then I start scratching my head. But I wouldn't be able to tell them I cheated in the exams. But they will read between the lines and know that I cheated. That's why they put cancel there. Because if I'm absent, they'll put absent. But wherever you see cancel, it implies cheating. Some malpractice has happened. So this itself is really demoralizing. But let's look at the education sector. With all the resources that we are pumping into the education system, at the end of the day, we look at our children and we are informed that their exams is declared null and void. The whole system has failed. And looking at the statistics that Mr. Seka has given us, it's on the increase. That means that it's a wake-up call for all and sundry. Everybody should be prepared. And we are coming up now because exams is about to start next month. The exams will start in April, inshallah. And that is why we are saying, let us start talking to the people concerned. The students, the teachers, the parents, the teachers, the school managers. We all have a stake in this. And we should all try to encourage our children to read and work hard and be prepared to go and write the exams on their own rather than trying to cheat, because if you cheat at the end of the day, it will be detected. People have this, if I do it, they will. No. I was an examiner. Immediately we start marking, we will know that cheating has happened. Even if people are not caught physically in the hall, Either you impersonating, or you assaulting, or insulting somebody. Those are things you may be reprimanded on the spot. But where we even happen to have this mass cheating, it will be discovered during marking the papers. They will know. I mean, you cannot have 100 children sitting in a row, following one another, the numbers in sequence, serial order, and then they have the same answers. It's not possible. We are human beings.
Obviously.
Then we know that something has happened. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Job. I want to ask Mr. Cisse before coming to, in an event where examination malpractice occurs, ordinary people tend to point accusing fingers to either WAEC or the ministry. What's your take on that?
WAEC is neutral. WAEC doesn't favor any school, it doesn't favor any candidate. What we look for is the script of the candidate, whether he's been able to answer the questions according to the marking scheme that we have developed. Now, our stake on ignorance of the people about exam malpractice is that we are here to enlighten. We have indicated that there are different forms of malpractice. Now, coming back to impersonation, for example, we have been having, as recent as last year, cases of impersonation during our private exams. And some years ago, when we used to conduct the college entrance exams, an impersonator at Mansa Congo. Apparently in the Gambia, we have names that are shared by both sexes, like Adama, with due respect.
Yes.
Girls are also called Adama. In some ethnic groups, Usman is the name of a boy as well as a girl.
Yeah.
So during this exam period, we were going around looking at the card, the candidate's picture, and the face, whether they are the same. And our staff went around and saw that the picture on the table is a picture of a girl, and the man sitting was a man. The candidate sitting was a male. So there's a mismatch. You know, I think it was called Adam or something. So our staff called him, to explain. He wrote a note. Then the staff went to the high table to collect some papers. He looked back, and the man left the class and ran. Yes, he ran away. So he was a thief on the run. You see, all what I'm saying is, please, impersonation is bad. Bringing foreign material into the exam hall is bad, equally bad. Now, candidates are not allowed to bring electronic devices, mobile phones, name it, any electronic device for that matter, except for people who are hard of hearing. For example, the people with hearing defects, hearing disability, may be allowed by the supervisor to bring in hearing aids, that you plug in the ears so that he can listen properly to the instructions, or if it is an oral exam, you'll be able to participate fully. Other than that, no programmable calculators. Nothing but come with a pen, pencil, eraser, finish, and a prepared mind for the exams.
The perception of the public that examination malpractice, when it occurs, WAEC or the ministry are to blame, I think is unfortunate. For WAEC, honestly, for us, each time examination malpractice is detected,
We are worried.
yes, because it is a big drag on our administration. When it occurs, there are a lot of administrative procedures that you do, and it means so much work for us. So another thing is, if we go to the international meetings, we now have to report, and what every country wants to do is to say there were no examination malpractice, cases of examination malpractice in our country. Now, when you have to report, it's a stain, if you like. So honestly, nobody wants cases of examination malpractice to occur. We would rather there were none. So I think it is unfortunate if the public would feel that, okay, examination malpractice, it is either WAEC is penalizing some good performing students or something like that. And definitely that is the perception, but I think it's a wrong perception.
Mr. Seka, and what in your own views do you think can be done to curb the situation or the incidents of examination malpractice?
Okay, first of all, what we do is we look at ourselves as WAEC. Now, what we do is that during the development of the test papers, we ensure that we exercise maximum security. That is during the writing of the test items. Now, then follows the printing of the test items. And finally, the distribution of the examination correction papers. During the whole of these three activities, we ensure that they are leakage-free. Now, another way that we can reduce examination malpractice is by broadening the opportunities of the candidate. You know, during the ordinary level days, O-level days, most of these papers or subjects were single papers. Like, for example, history, it was only one paper, essay paper. Economics, it was only one paper, essay paper, and so on. But now, for every subject, we have at least 2 papers. In fact, some subjects have 3 papers. So that we have increased the opportunity to capture the marks of the candidate. If you fumble in one paper, for example, you may not fumble in the other paper. And also, we have discovered that when the examination is of very high stake, that is, when so many things depend on the examination, like gaining admission into institution of higher learning, obtaining employment, sometimes even obtaining visa, when the stake is very high, I mean, there is likelihood of examination malpractice. So we have brought in this aspect of continuous assessment, where 30% of the marks that go to form the final grading of the child is generated at the school level. So that if you are going to the examination hall with the knowledge that, look, I have already taken 30% of the examination, you know, that would also reduce the anxiety of the candidate.
Mr. Job,
Yes.
will it be right for the ministry, of course, to be blamed in an event where examination malpractices occurs? Of course, they have already cleared their own part of. So,
Thank you very much, Mr. Ba. I think, just like they said, it's out of ignorance. I mean, the ministry should not be blamed because the ministry is not part of the examination, though the personnel of the ministry are managing the exams. But definitely the ministry cannot be blamed and should not be blamed. It is entirely the responsibility of the people that were involved, either the teachers, the students, the supervisors, the invigilators, and the like. And as Mr. Seka said, WAEC, or even the ministry has gone to the level of blacklisting teachers. I've seen incidents where teachers are blacklisted. And those letters are copied to all principals that Mr. Balde was caught cheating in Farafenye or, you know, helping children to cheat. As a result, he should not be employed in our education system. The ministry is doing that. So it's telling you how far we are going as a sector to make sure that we curb this menace in our society. But remember, we are dealing with people, and, you know, that is why it is necessary for us to always be on the ground, excuse me, to talk to them, to, you know, at least throw light on some of the issues. And when the parents, when the children themselves, who are going to be the primary victims, as far as this is concerned, will be very much careful, and then even if I am prepared to aid them, they would say no, because it's not to my interest. It's not to the interest of the candidate. Teachers who will be doing it, or children who will be doing it. You are a friend of mine. You know, we have been in class for 3 years. We were sitting on the same table. We are writing the exams. I definitely know that you cannot do it. And I said, okay, I'll be giving you my paper, or once in a while I give you some sheets of papers underneath for you to pick that, you know, and then start. You know. Okay, your intention is to make sure that I pass the exams. But I have forgotten that if I am caught